We had a meal on the shop for 5 months. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah. Yeah. And it ran till 2 o'clock.
This is the board's announcement for Claire Williamson. Claire Williamson.
A very good mate who's a member of the Seventh
property in the station master's office for you. That's Claire Williamson. Please report to the station master's office. Where they have would like to reunite you with some lost property.
Towards a ticket or whatever, and
All change, please, all change. Train on platform 2, this is Ford Woodhouse, all change. Woodhouse Station, all change please, all change. Woodhouse Station, all change please. Passengers for the last train, if you wish to see the bonfire, please make your way to the south end of the station platform and go across the crossing into the yard. One final station.
Come on, come on. Get in the way and don't make me. Hello, mate. When are you next down, Jamie?
On Saturday,
Ah!
before Remembrance Sunday.
Ah, yes. It stopped halfway in the station.
One out, all change please, all change.
You all right, Jamie?
Yep.
Do you want to come upstairs, sit in bed? So fast. I don't want to go. Yeah, I'm going on now.
Tyres on it. Really. Really
Good,
does.
good for the environment.
Yeah. Tyres are really good for the environment. Yeah, all these thick white smoke. The guy's lost an arm.
He's on his way now.
Fell to bits.
That's it, gone.
He's dead.
Well done.
Fancy a warming cherry on amaretto. Can you see?
That's all we found on the shoulders.
Bravo, bravo.
I will remember you, Herbert Hill, who died on the 3rd of October 1980, aged 25. Thank you.
Cromwell is a British Rail Design Pacific built in the 1950s. It's part of the National Collection, so it belongs to you as much as it does to anybody else. But this railway seems to be the custodian and look after it. Every engine only runs for 10 years. It's called its ticket, but its tickets run out. So the Great Central are refurbishing the engine now for another 10 years run. It'll probably take 2 or 3 years to get it done. The boiler is outside here, and the boiler is lifted off pretty much the first stage, because ultimately we will be pressure testing hydraulically. In other words, it's rated for 250 pounds square inch, so we'll fill it with water and pressurise it to 375, which considerably exceeds the normal working pressure, to make sure we're safe. And then we'll speed test it outside. We're not allowed, we're discouraged from lighting the engines up inside the shed because it ruins the wallpaper, as you can see. Do you want the shed tour, guys, or are you doing your own thing?
Please, if you don't mind.
Okay, just tag on then, please. My name's Rob. Don't fall in the pit. Yeah, because the rats will have you. Here we go then. Anybody who wants the cab? Oliver Cromwell. First photo opportunity there. You want to pose in the window. This is the demonstration. If you pose like that, it looks like you're really on it. When I was a train stopper, cabin was the highlight of your life. The engine sizes, the power rating, the power rating is related by the size, the class. This is a class 2. It's only a small locomotive, but they're ideal for working down here. They look to a layman, well, they are a proper engine, but when they're called for 8 coaches out, they're working hard. If you've got Tornado on the front, 3 clocks and you're up to speed. So this is an Ibert class 2 built in the early late 40s. It's a 260. 6 wheels drive. Built nicely, just where we can see it. The main driving wheels of Oliver Cromwell, those big wheels there, they go through those square cutouts, and this is the main chassis, officially known as the frame. The back end is supported by a trailing trunk to steer where it came in. The whole lot is being cleaned up, and it's all presently resting on 4 +5-ton jacks to carry in the weight. I'm going to be hoarse by the end of the day. Right. This locomotive here, it's called the Lamiel. It's from the southern region, and it was the track express of the 1930s. It used to run from London to Southampton, taking all this special expresses. It was superseded by the Lord Nelson, and then the Southern Region Pacific. Of course, the Lamiel, the King Arthur class, they're all named after Knights of the Round Table and stuff. Part of the National Collection, so it belongs to you as much as it does this. The railway is a custodian of it at the moment, but we believe that National Rail Museum is taking it away for another railway. We don't know where it is. Because it's out of ticket, it's done it 10 years. It ran on British Railway for quite a long while. The majority of its life, it's a 460 express passenger engine. A combustion engine zero, medium power engine, highly thought of by the footplate crews because they were, if you got into a mess with something big like on the Cromwell, this would get you out of it. So it was designed by Sir William Stanier in the 1930s and were highly thought of. And when British Rail wanted to produce standard designs, they were effectively copied to the British Rail Standard 5. Is that route enough? It's the VR5. So you can see a modernised version. Driving wheels like that. This is the Tendon. Brilliant. You look back, I can probably aim at the back. Alright. This is Sir Lamuel again. Things I'd like to point out. This is the main traction element. This does all the pulling. This is the tender. There's a bridge plate between the two, and when it's going along, that bridge plate flexing as it goes round the bend. The unusual feature of this locomotive is that the southern region never invested in troughs. They're water troughs. They're about that wide and sat in between the tracks. They're about a mile long and they're fed with water. And when an engine goes past at speed, the fireman lowers a scoop into the trough, pressurises the water and replenishes the water in the tender. Well, the southern region never had any of those, so the price you had to pay was you had to have massive great big tenders with a swimming pool's worth of water underneath. The coal, you can just see a line of rivets along here. That's the coal sits on top of that. All the rest is full of water. We're going that way now, please, guys. I'll tell you when to stop. Keep moving, please. Whoa! This is a contrast now. This is an industrial tank engine. Not so glorious as some of the big engines we've got down here. The guy's bought it because he likes doing steam engines up, which is an expensive hobby to do. An 060, only 6 driving wheels, and it's a tank engine, like Thomas. On the side here, either side of the boiler are large rectangular tanks which hold about 2,000 gallons of water. The coal is kept around about 2 tons in that bunker at the back. Very effective, very economical to build, and these will be used on really rough tracks. And significant point is these wheels have got flanges. They're that lip thing that go in between the rails to keep the thing on the rails. If you notice, particularly those of you at the back, that's flangeless, the middle wheel. It's so it can accommodate the track being all over the place. In fact, if you look at the 9F that's running today, I believe, the middle wheel of that is flangeless. It allows the flexibility for it just to sit on top of the track, and the other wheels give it. It's part of the National Collection as well. It was built in 1912, which makes it 107 years old, even older than me. It's called a rod. It was named after me. Not really. It was called Railway Operating Division. It was built in Gorton Works in 1912, and it is a freight engine. You can tell it's a freight engine because it's got little driving wheels. If you draw the comparison with dogs, it's like a corgi. It's got little legs, and it can pull like hell, but it won't run very fast. So this is a freight engine. This is designed for pulling 1,500 tons all day at 40 miles an hour, and it would have run through here in its working day because it was a great central locomotive. Very Victorian design, lots of smooth curves, and I draw the analogy, it looks like a piano. It is presently being stripped down at ready for reuse here. We'll be taking the boiler off in a few weeks' time. We're concentrating on Ivory Cromwell at the moment. Set the boiler off, do all the works, and then put the boiler back on after the hydraulics. Right, walk this way just for a second, please. Any of you railway buffs? Any of you lads railway buffs? Do you want Welsh Shark valve gear or? Can't comment, to be honest, I don't know. It's then the fitting crew. I'll just go through the basic operation now then. Well, that's better, isn't it? It's winding down. Inside here is a piston. The piston is about that thick, and it's a complete disc, and it forms a pressure tight seal within the bore, and it slides backwards and forwards like a car engine, but is pushed in both directions, dissimilar to a car engine, because a car engine only normally pushes downwards. Because the piston is that sort of diameter, when it's got 250 pounds per square inch behind it, it will result in a force of about 25 tons. The 25 tons will be transmitted from the piston through the piston rod to this, the crosshead, and that slides backwards and forwards the same amplitude, 26 inches, as the piston. So all that lot's doing that. 25 tons gets transferred from that pin into the conrod, this rod here. That rod now is pushing along its centre line that way by 25 tons. The centre's there, the wheel centre is down here. So the wheel would have to turn clockwise and the engine would move backwards in that instance. And then when it comes round to the other side of it, it should be pulling and it should be rotating. So that's out the primary. All the three main driving wheels are all coupled together by the coupling rods, which couple them all together. So if you just open the regulator on this, you can quite easily spin them on the rails. The direction of travel is covered by this, which is called the reversing arm. That's controlled by like a mangle on the engine, and that will drop down to give you a full cut off there forwards and a full cut off backwards and back. I've abbreviated that. I didn't want to. We won't do Welsh Shark valve here. Right. Just while we're walking back, this is the speed of it. If you put that on your car, it gives you a bit more fuel on you. Just show you with the foot there. Going to Boscastle in a minute, but I'll just show you the photographs. Well, in fact, you can hear it working. That's the engine I've worked on since 1972. I joined the project at 3 years of age. It took us 20 years to get it to work. And it's now undergoing its second restoration, like I need. Quick quiz for anybody. That blue thing with 4 written on it, if anybody clever enough to tell me what that is, it's not a tool locker. I'll tell you because nobody's ever had it yet. It's a bomb shelter for a signalman. We're talking about the blue box with the 4 on it. Right. This is Boscastle. It was originally built looking like this. Technical term is it looks like a spam can. It was built in 1946. And they were being built during the Second World War, which always amazes me because they are such a sophisticated engine. They've got electric lighting, they had a revolutionary inefficient system of valve gear, and they were made to look pretty when we were bankrupt. But the guy called O.V. Bully designed and built these. I think he built about 80 of them. They were built right through the war. So it's built like that from 46 till 59. 59, it went into Eastleigh shops and was rebuilt to look like that, and that's what she looks like now. That necessitates an awful lot of metalwork on each side. All these rods, they weren't there. You have to take the old oil sump out, and it's a 3-cylinder engine, which makes it a smoother runner than most others, including Cromwell. So all that lot has been duplicated on the inside as well. Now, come and have a quick look at the video, please. Look at the carriages. What's mine? Is that West Somerset?
Is it mine are down Devon Cornwall?
Yeah. And also, if you're wealthy enough, have a drive the locomotive day,
Yeah, I've seen that.
which is quite expensive.
Yeah.
Great fun.
But if you do, you'll. Have you done it, sir?
Part and parcel, because I'm a member, I've had footplate ride up and down
Oh,
and
right.
so on and so forth, yeah.
But I believe you're still never allowed to bring the locomotive onto the stop. What you'll do is take these off. There'll be one on there and one on the on the carriage. Oh, you've got to imagine these are carriages, by the way.
Yeah.
All those with the royal family on, just to add a bit of weight to the argument. So it's got that off. Now air's getting in there. The braking system on a steam locomotive in the carriages is by vacuum, which is suction. So now you've got air coming from 10 miles high in there. The brakes are locked on the locomotive and on the carriages. It also, by taking that bag off, lets air into that system, so the brakes are on all the carriages. And if you did happen to have another locomotive on the other end that's creating vacuum, it'll realise it's somebody's unbagged it, so he knows he shouldn't move. Once you've got safety, you pick the 3-link coupling, chuck it onto that hook, obviously, which would be a lot closer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stretch it today. And in the winter time, like possibly today, there'll be another flexible bag like this on here, and that bag will be coupled to that bag, and that will allow steam to be controlled by the fireman at about 25 pounds per square inch to come through that pipework and all the way along the train formation. Teed off from that will be little spurs to radiators under the cushions where you're all sitting, so you've got warm bums. Stop the place freezing up. Last thing we do, we get the 2 bags, put them together and put 1 pin in to lock them together, and then we're ready to get out because he's now vulnerable. He'll get out, and then you'll see him come like this, and he'll probably go like that, which means blow up. To blow up means the driver uses an ejector, starting with the letter E, to eject the air from that system and lift all the brakes off. Gets to your bones.
Yeah, that's one there.
Yeah, I've got something to show you guys. Corks. Yeah. These are ordinary commercial corks, but they've got an insert through them which is balsa. That is because in the morning the driver comes along and this block here at the top is empty. No, well there ain't much. That's filled up with oil to the top. The driver will put his finger in to stop the excess and then put that back in. Now that oil will slowly leak through and lubricate this sliding surface here. It will last all day because it's constricted side that's feeding that. That lot's going all over the place, so there's no chance you can get oil. Side of this, don't bang your head into. I'm fed up with trying to prise it back when it's bent and somebody's clapping the head on it. This is the black fly boiler. The smoke box, which is the black bit on that engine, is cut off at the moment because they're refurbishing the boiler. It's got, this is the outer firebox, and you notice all these rivets and stays. There are two boxes in here, an inner firebox which is copper and an outer firebox which is steel. They're separated by about 4 inches, and that gap is maintained by the rivets and the stays that are all over the place. The water is filled to halfway between those two round bosses there, all the way across this section of the boiler. So that when the fire is burning and the fire sits across the bottom end here, and it protrudes about 10 foot forwards on a slope, the fire sits on fire bars, it creates an intense heat, and the heat comes through the copper in a firebox. Copper is a good thermal conductor. Once it gets in, the heat gets into the water, it boils, and the steam is collected in the top on the highest, driest point. Right, here we go. Remember this bracket? I don't want to fatigue the metal bending it back. Right, so there's the firebox, and from here the firebox is effectively sealed by a tube plate. That's a big disc of metal with holes in it. From there to here is called the boiler barrel. Now you've got to bear in mind this 8 foot of this cut off, the bit with the chimney, called the smoke box. The two tube plates have got corresponding holes in this, which is the smoke box tube plate and the firebox tube plate, and the lads have just started inserting the tubes. The tubes are a loose fit between the holes at each end, and then we put in a mandrel, which is something to expand it so it forms a pressure tight seal between the mild steel tubes and the tube plate. So all that lot's actually filled with tubes that diameter between the fire and this end. The heat from the fire is drawn through the tubes. The tubes are submerged in water, and the heat comes through and creates more steam. So it's got a larger heating surface. The whole lot is pressurised at 250 pounds per square inch. Now, in contradiction of what you get in a steam kettle,